an alternate member.
Right. Right, and she should be coming to, at the same time, she got appointed at the same time you did.
Yeah.
She had a conflict with something else for 3 months, I think, so.
Okay.
You just check outside before you come in.
Is there a reason for meeting here at Pikes Peak the last
AJ,
last couple of weeks versus the police station?
The goal of the city was to bring all of the boards and commissions back.
Okay.
Originally, this board and commission
Nobody
met here, and then after COVID was over,
Hey, thanks.
they had trouble staying.
Yeah, no, I don't want to.
So they were meeting at the.
No,
police
I want you to
department.
get your.
And it's just, I have the feeling like sometimes the police department is intimidating to public, people that would come from the public
I will
to
call her.
speak, so.
Fair.
so I know he said he was doing some work stuff in Chicago when he was going back. Hi. Start behind. How's it going? It's a great day. Actually, the weather's really nice. I was pleasantly surprised. Supposed to go to crap tomorrow, but
Yeah, maybe snow tomorrow.
Really?
That's what I heard.
yeah, I think like on Saturday, there's an inch predicted for here.
Gosh.
And the mountains would be okay, rain would be great here.
You know what triggers snow is when you turn your sprinkler system on.
Oh, I
Dan
almost
hooked up
did.
all the little sprinklers. I thought, okay, a little early.
I almost did this last weekend.
He did the ones for the flower bed that aren't on the regular sprinkler system, but I said, are you sure it's gonna be okay? Oh yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, that's what I always tell my wife. Oh, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's great.
How long have we lived here?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm usually wrong.
3 years ago, it snowed in this state.
Did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Facebook was reminding me.
No.
The other thing that my husband said today, that I think on starting the 27th, there's supposed to be 4 or 5 days of rain, so I guess we're gonna have the spring monsoon again.
Oh. Well, that's good news for the alleys and beaches.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, we had a good one last year.
We had a good rain.
Nice to meet you.
Everybody else there.
I
kept telling people it's 4 o'clock and it's more down rain. And there's like, I'm not up at 4. I don't know what I did.
No, it's,
I'm
but
not.
I use this one. Is mine next to you?
This one.
You at the bottom, I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're right over there.
Do you know where Mike is? Has he been out of town or?
Mike's coming.
Oh, is he coming?
He told me
Okay.
he was gonna be here.
It is also pre-recording is started.
Oh. Okay, well, we do have a quorum, so we don't need to wait for Mike. All right, so call to order.
Chair Watson,
Present?
Vice Chair Vincent, Member Strong,
Present.
Member Chisholm, Member Emmelhans,
Here.
Member Johnson,
Present.
Member Hughes,
Here.
Member Hart. We do have a quorum.
Nice. All right, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve minutes from last meeting? Is there a second?
A second.
Second. All those in favor of approving the minutes from last meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Public forum.
No one is present and no one signed up online.
Okay. No public forum. All right, code enforcement significant events.
Hi.
Hi.
So if I may indulge myself really fast, we do have a new committee members here, and if I may ask, it's not on the agenda, but I would like to go ahead and ask if there could be a motion to swear in our new member.
Motion to swear in a new member?
Second.
Am I supposed to second?
Or, okay,
That was fine.
these two, okay. All right, all those in favor, swearing in the new opposed? Okay, we're good. We're very.
Just a little formality that we need to do.
Of course.
We're very, very.
Okay.
Here's a
Yes.
packet of some information for you.
I have all that. Yep.
Okay, perfect. And if you could raise your right hand for me.
Yep.
I, Eric Johnson,
I, Eric Johnson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the Charter and ordinances of the City of Inglewood,
and the Charter or ordinances of the City of Englewood,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform the duties of office as
faithfully perform the duties of the office as
member of the CEAC
member of the CEAC
during my continuance there.
during my continuance therein.
Perfect, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yay.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome. The decoder ring is in the mail.
Ah, excellent.
Significant events. So I had a few things that I was requested to follow up on. If I may do those now, I may ask that I need to be dismissed at 6:45 due to another engagement that I need to attend. The first thing that this committee had specifically asked was regarding communication subcommittee stuff, and I know there was going to be an update later, but I did want to let you know that the first draft, if you want to pass one down, what you had submitted is currently being in the rough draft of the publication. So we're in first round of edits for this. The only change that I have requested is that this group be recognized within the body of that posting. So I wanted to make sure that you receive credit as to the contribution that you're having, and also to let the community know that it's the Code Enforcement Advisory Committee, direct residents that are providing this guidance to other residents.
Where's that, how are you gonna do that?
This is for the Inglewood magazine. This is
Right.
actually the layout that it's.
And then where will,
I will probably say
provided by,
somewhere in there, it'll say words of advice from Code Enforcement Advisory Committee, something like that.
okay,
I did submit that request today, and the second draft of review will start tomorrow.
great.
The draft that we saw from her included that already. Did it just get dropped out of this in their revision?
I didn't see that.
It was something about from the,
Did it?
I can't answer that because I didn't see that draft. I only get the approval once it's been formatted.
Okay.
But I did want to make sure, because that was important to this committee.
Did this come from what they submitted?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it looks just a little different, and there may be some artwork that they're going to add to it. That usually comes in the second and third phases.
I like it. I like it.
Is there any suggested changes outside of what adding this committee's name?
I like it's not finger wagging.
Right.
Yeah, no,
And that's definitely the direction you all want.
yeah, no, I think you nailed it. You got nailed it, yeah, perfect.
Perfect.
can I ask how you feel about it, Dave? Did you feel it reads properly to what your needs are with it?
Yes, it does. Okay. I may add a couple more verbiage regarding alleyway type of things, but I think in the rough first format, I think this works. The numbers that are in there really just are to add, like the URL is going to be added, and I think IngoFix might be put in there. So
Yes,
those were
that's good.
suggestions that were made. If there's space, then they have them.
Yeah, anything that we can get IngoFix in
Yeah.
is good.
And I think we discussed the QR code on here, and I don't know that we decided to finalize that, did we? Remember we
No.
mentioned the QR code?
Yeah, we did.
What's your think on a QR code?
I'm going to leave that up to the people that are formatting this and
Okay.
putting the magazine together, because they have the data and resources to determine if that would be of best interest. All right.
Is there guidance on watering? And we were kind of talking about that earlier, starting I believe Denver is different than Englewood where there's actual strict guidance, but here it's.
Watering was a part of this conversation. We actually have no water restrictions for watering currently, so that would,
Okay,
not something that we would be able to enforce or put in.
right, okay.
But the sustainability committee is looking at a variety of options. That was not one of the options that they've discussed, if I'm correct.
Makes sense.
So can I ask a question? So if we have this type of educational system in the magazine and different things, could that help impact the notice of violation? And maybe not have to use the notice of violation as the educational tool?
I know that we've talked about this. Purely from a logistics standpoint, it is not possible to get around the posting of violation, which this committee, I know, and I have a basic draft of what that's going to look like with the notice and then the tips. Having to re-inspect a property 3 times, I don't think is the best way to use a seasonal officer or code officer. We approached over 10,000 cases last year, and it really would be stretching it to add an additional inspection to do an educational component. And I'm not sure, based on feedback, and you've heard the same thing, that this magazine reaches everyone or social media reaches everyone, that there's no way of utilizing. This is just one step in reminding the community, hopefully. Last year's more strict enforcement coupled with education, we will gain more compliance this year where we won't hopefully have to give out as many notices.
Do we know yet if this committee will be able to utilize the water and sewer bill?
They already have.
Okay,
Here's
Good.
something. Has that already gone out?
I believe it was in this last month, if I remember. I get electronics, so
I didn't read
see
it yet.
anything. I didn't see anything in there.
but I know you guys are all, the angle fix portion is all specifically was submitted and approved. So I don't know if it was this month or next month, but I know you guys are all there.
We're trying to use a lot of different vehicles to get at these messages of public information and education.
And I think the 2 biggest ones are the Englewood magazine. That is supposed to go to every home. Some people don't necessarily get it, but the water and sewer bill does go to every home also. Of course, it
Renters.
remains to be seen if
We don't get it at our condominium.
Oh, okay, you don't, so.
The next portion, I apologize, I have a staff member that's still on. The other component, if you'll pass down one of each, is just kind of a rough document, one being the official language, and then the other side of the 2-sided document would be the tips. And that is just a rough draft suggestion of the tips. Perhaps the communications team or you all can review it and maybe suggest some edits. It's not set in stone, it's not done. This just came out on Friday. And we hope to have this done here by the end of the month in place, hopefully. Definitely by the time of our next meeting. And again, this particular posting notice or the document that you have, we can change it throughout this, leading up to the middle of the season. The reason we're making it this way is so that we can make edits and changes coming up. So the one document that's blue is just what the notice slash educational tips will look like.
Like these will be in.
That, yes. They just haven't been put into there because I didn't want those that are working in communications staff to do double work with editing. So I wanted to make sure that we did it in a Word format and then transferred it over to them to just do one.
I like the fact that there's no red on it.
We did take out the red.
Yes, I'm noticed. Thank you.
We specifically branded it with colors for Englewood. These are the colors that we've been suggested to utilize moving forward to stay consistent throughout the city with all of our branding.
Nice color.
And you're gonna print these out yourself, right?
They will be printed out as needed. I don't want to send something to a print company because we've outsourced our printing, that we utilize these because we don't know if we're going to need 500 or if we're going to need 2,000. I'm hoping this year we won't need 2,000.
So you'll do them in-house,
Yes,
and they'll be like this,
they will look like that.
and then you'll just like fold them and put them,
Yes.
or will they go in a sleeve?
No, they'll go on someone's front door or wherever we have access.
Will it be in a sleeve, maybe on a door hanger?
Those are really expensive to produce.
Mhm.
This will be posted. You will not attempt to contact the owner before you post it.
Whenever somebody goes out to post the property, we always attempt to knock on the door and speak to somebody. I would say about 30% of the time, we have an opportunity to speak to somebody. And then a few times, people will call just for clarification. But the majority of people look at this and like, oh, it's a reminder, I need to go cut my weeds in the alley, or I need to cut the weeds in the front. I totally did not do it for the last 3 weeks for whatever reason.
So in other words, the officer circles whatever,
Yes.
circles 15, 16, 15, 11.
And then there's a space that says front or back or other, and they can
Right,
give
yeah.
direction. Like,
That's
you know how some people have side yards that may go along, and maybe that side strip, we see that people forget that side strip between their fence and the street.
So is this wording from the city attorney?
No. So, well, the wording on the legal part is exactly the way it needs to be as outlined in ordinance.
I'm looking at the nuance prohibited -B. Create, continue, or suffer the existence of any nuance.
That's ordinance. Nuisance. Yeah, that's the way
Or nuisance, sorry.
Yeah, that's the
Nuance.
way that
Or nuance, it's close. It's close.
we suffer nuance.
They have the same letter, they have the same letter.
That's the way the ordinance is written, and we have to post the specific verbiage. Otherwise, it is not a legal document.
I mean, suffer the existence. Okay.
So does this count as the first notice? I mean, and there's 3, correct? Or-
Well, so if you review code, the 7-day courtesy notice is something that is utilized from time to time. And it's at the discretion of code enforcement. We're not required to give that 7-day notice. We found that when we did do that 7-day notice, we received extreme pushback the year before from residents saying, this is 7 days, I don't have time to do this, I can't get this done. And then we explained, well, if it's not done, we'll come back out and we have to do the 14-day. So it really presented more anxiety and concerns from community members versus going with the 14-day posting, because it felt like they had 2 weeks to resolve the concern rather than the 7-week courtesy notice that we were giving.
Then are we changing code to reflect that?
We haven't changed code, but code specifically says discretion of the code enforcement officer. We don't have to give the 7-day.
Has it always said that?
It's always said that.
Question, so you said it has to match exactly the wording, but I see like 15.6.1, there's colon and a dash, and then the next one is just a colon, and the next one's a dash. Is that like exactly how it is?
Let me double check.
Okay.
It has been cut and pasted specifically from the municipal code, but I will make sure that that matches up and that communications is taking that directly from there.
All 3 are different. That's good.
Thanks for catching that.
Dave, I have a question, and it has to do with definition of the word nuisance and who defines what the nuisance is. As an example, I know of a location in Englewood where there was a person shot in an alleyway. Friends and family have been putting flowers, they've made a shrine in the alleyway. It's heart-wrenching. Nobody wants to come down hard, I'm sure, and I'm guessing that code enforcement is being very tolerant and sympathetic towards friends and family in that situation. It's going on 3 years now. And I drive by there and I look at it and I think, is that a nuisance? And I mean, there's fresh flowers, there's old flowers, there's things that come out into the alley. I don't know the answer, and I'm not telling you what the answer is. But I guess my question is it up to you all to figure out how hard we come down or don't come down, or how we deal with something like that?
Our first step is always to have conversations and to do postings. In this particular circumstance, we have to weigh the sensitivity of the nature. You know, each case is looked at not in a black and white situation, and we do take into consideration, you know, somebody may not be able to take care of their yard, and we have to put them in touch with people or suggest options for them. So the biggest point, and again with the tips, is people need to reach out to code enforcement. Like if you get something on your door and you are confused, or you need direction, or you need help, or you need more information, just like with snow, you know, we leave notices and stuff, we'll receive calls, and we have resources like the snow buddies and other things that we can get them in contact with. I think part of what this committee asked is to make something that has tips, so it's not just a notice, so that people know, hey, you know, I may need to call code enforcement because I'm gonna need longer than 2 weeks to finish this, and we can extend times. We do frequently. We have properties that, you know, they might have significant needs and might need significant time, and as long as they're, this is the big thing with us, as long as you're communicating with code enforcement, you have an active plan, you're making progress towards compliance, we're going to continue this. We're not going to put you in court, and we're not going to debate it. Those are the big things. And where people get hung up when it comes to this part is not communicating with code enforcement. I think that's the #1 concern, or ignoring the notice altogether. That the city, what we've heard is that the city isn't going to do anything.
So it's one of those gray zones where it's not black and white. If, in my example, if neighbors are okay with it, then no harm, no foul, and we'll just drive slowly through the alleyway and we won't upset.
Again, that's a one-off case, so I can't really generalize one particular case. But if somebody was to call and say it's obstructing the alley, or it's gonna clog a storm drain or something, then, you know, we'd be sensitive, but work with them to make sure that they're able to have a memorial and meet the needs.
And the homeowner's innocent in this example too, because the homeowner isn't responsible. So anyways, thank you. I just was curious. The give and take, I guess, is what I'm asking.
That's a great question. Our primary purpose is voluntary compliance. That's our #1 goal. And however we are able to do that, I would say most of our major cases, we're in contact, unless it's usually a vacant lot or a home that's not currently being utilized and we can't find someone. Most people that have significant violations are willing to work with us.
Yep.
Yeah, it may take a few months, but we will continue to follow their progress and make sure they come into compliance.
Can we get back to you
Yes.
on some chat? I don't want to use our time now to do that.
Yeah, no, if you want to go ahead and take a look at that, the two of you, because it's not open communication, the two of you have conversations and then want to send me an edit, I'm okay with that. Again, I just got this on Friday, late Friday, and I didn't review it until yesterday, so this is brand new.
Okay, great.
I have some minor I'll just bring up. It might be getting really detailed, but you know, we say by a requested date. Is it clear enough, like what that date is? It says within 14 days.
It's within 14, we usually put the date on there, so it's 14 days from the posting date.
So it'd be, okay, I just wanted to make sure that's clear enough. Makes sense.
And I have a question too. There is a definition of nuisance.
There
correct?
is, and I can read that, I can bring it up. It's basically any violation of the municipal code is a nuisance, but then nuisance is also defined further.
As
in
repeated
definitions.
violations, right?
It's not always repeated violations. Anything under Title 15 is classified as a nuisance. Actually, any violation of municipal code is a nuisance. So if a business isn't having a license, that's considered a nuisance.
Okay, thank you.
Or as I like to say, nuance. So does this go in with this one?
That will go on that section that says tips.
Okay.
So what I'm asking is if there's anything specific you'd like to see changed. Again, I apologize, Member Johnson. We can't have open dialogue by email. So like we can't make decisions or make comments to a whole group.
Yeah.
But you could send one direction to myself, or you could send it to Officer Futro, or to the chair, or somebody that's identified. But we can't have like all these different back and forth emails. So I can't like, if we send out information, don't reply all to something because then it may violate quorum.
Okay, got it. Cool.
Can we recommend that if you have suggestions that you email like Edie with them? Just shoot them over to her, and that way when Edie and I get together to kind of do the final revision, we've got your ideas on it.
Yeah, so Edie will be the point person then.
That's fine.
I volunteer you.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Edie, what kind of time frame would you be comfortable in working with so that we can move this forward?
I'm gone most of next week. So when do you need it back?
I want to work within your time frame. So within 2 weeks, we're
2
going to
weeks.
continue, as we get violations, we're going to continue to use the old notice, just so everyone knows some meets have started, until this body finds a solution to this next.
I'd say 2 weeks.
Well, you have to use the existing ones up first, right?
We don't have them pre-printed.
Oh, sorry. Okay, cool.
Well, like, we'll come in and currently we're not doing proactive weed enforcement, just so that this body knows we don't have the resources to do that right now. We're down a park ranger, and the seasonal code officers have not been hired. We are doing complaint-based notifications when it's really egregious. Like if it's 7 inches, we're not gonna come out there with our little ruler and be like, oh my goodness, it's 6.5 inches. We're talking about really egregious.
Obvious.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we ask that you guys have any suggested revisions to us by the 26th? That or the 28th for Sunday, but we'll probably try to take a look at them either Monday or Tuesday of the last week of the month. Is that okay with you?
Yes, and I will let communications, the project manager on this project, know that it's going to be a few weeks while you are making additions. You can add stuff. Again, this is just a starting point. This was just something that we put together that we thought would be of interest. Please feel free to expand on it or highlight it or look at it from the lens of a citizen, like you're receiving this. If you want, ask your neighbors, like if you receive a notice, what would you prefer for tips? What would you like to see in here? Those kinds of things.
Do you want us to also own this in terms of provided by or
I would say
offered by?
no,
the code
because it's
enforcement committee?
it's an official document.
Okay.
So I would prefer that you all look at the document, review the document, make recommendations, and the city takes the ownership of, lives with us, and we're the ones that are transmitting this information.
Hey, AJ, is there something you could help us with? You reach out to everybody on the committee with Edie's email address and the date that we'd like that stuff back by. I think it makes more sense to come from you. Yeah, but we're being recorded right now.
I don't think you want everyone in the world finding you.
Both of the people watching.
Who knows? Two other people. Who knows? Two other people.
This is good work, though.
Thank you. Yeah.
It really is.
I'm glad you guys,
I
we
agree.
took what you suggested and we tried to run with it the best that we could.
How can I see the current one? I wanted to see that. I don't want to take the time now, but just curious.
Yeah.
We have his email. We can just we'll email you a copy of it.
Okay, cool, no problem. Thank you.
They're a little more intimidating.
It's very similar to, very similar to the one legal side, except for it has a little bit more harsh language and outlines some extreme harsh penalties
Okay.
that we've been asked to remove. It's not required by code. This body had asked at one point to have them added a couple years ago, and then now it's scaring people, and so like thinking that they're gonna automatically get a fine for $1,000, so we're trying to reel that in to have some type of a more reasonable posting along with educational information.
They took the flogging out.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Dave? That was pretty good.
I don't have anything else.
Okay.
Is there anything you all need from me? Any questions?
You gotta leave, right?
I have like 15 more minutes.
But does anybody have any further questions for Dave? So he doesn't have to wait till the last second till he.
I'll hang out for just a little bit just to see if there's anything that you guys might need.
All right, update from the city council liaison.
Thank you. I'll just give a brief summary of just a couple of things that may not necessarily impact this committee, but it will impact a lot of you. One thing that city council has been talking about and the water and sewer board over the past few weeks is lead reduction removal. And you probably have already gotten notification, whether it's in the utility bill or wherever. The goal is to remove all the lead water pipes within 5 years, and we've gotten grants and loans to do that. And so that's the one thing. And then meters, water meters, really back in 1990, the law stated that all homes would go to meters and it would turn over as properties turned over. There's still 1,183 homes in Inglewood that do not have water meters, and the goal is to get all of those replaced as soon as possible. So there's those two things. One other thing I would just like to bring up and make you aware of is the last couple of meetings, city council has been talking about public comment and narrowing it down. And so I just want you all to be aware of that. And you can watch the meeting this past Monday, just 3 days ago. And, you know, maybe there are some things that need to be done. My concern is that we do not violate the First Amendment rights of the citizens. So those are the biggest things right now. The one other thing, I know that we talked about this last, it's in the minutes about reviewing codes related to CEAC. The city is actually, or the city attorney has closed that out because the auditor couldn't even get to it for a few years. So I believe this committee could look at code enforcement, the codes that you have authority over. I think in the bylaws and in maybe Title II, it tells what things. So if you all wanted to, you know, look over that and see what you all think might need to be addressed, that would be something for, you know, new business. So that is a possibility.
Okay. So it's back on the table.
It's back on the table.
Hey, Rita, I was just wondering, the council has concern about limiting public input. What was?
Well, what they're
is that?
suggesting we do. Now, it did get voted down, but it will come back up again because
Okay.
it was a 3-3 vote. But they want to limit everybody to 3 minutes. There would be no more 5 minutes for scheduled public comment. And some of this, I get it. If you've spoken in the last 90 days, your name would be moved to the bottom of the list, and it would be first come, first serve. So if you wanted to be first on the list, you'd only get 3 minutes, but you would call in early. So there's those things. There's a desire to remove, in the last, I don't know, maybe really since COVID, and a lot of these things changed since COVID. There's talk about limiting online comment, people calling in to, and there were a few people that called in on Monday night that spoke about that. So there's this thought that we should remove the ability, if people want to speak at council, they should come to city council. The best thing for you to do would be to watch it's the very last item on the agenda on Monday. And then you would see the conversation that went on around that. And it was a long meeting on Monday. I think we left at 11 o'clock. I think that's what it was. So anyway, probably maybe the last hour, we talked about it quite a bit. So, I mean, if you all have a chance to look at that and see what you think, I would solicit feedback from many of you also on what you think about it. So you could reach out to me as well.
Well, we as a committee have increased public comment from 3 to 5 minutes. the
There are
exact
too
opposite,
many.
because we didn't feel it was adequate for people with they're coming to the meeting and they're preparing to make a statement. We want to give them enough time, and we want to have time to understand what they're trying to express, so, or what they're expressing.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And so, I mean, there was some good discussion. One of the things that came up, they wanted, as soon as the mayor called their name, the clock started, and their 3 minutes started. And I just said, you've already limited it to 3 from 5. And if they're not up there at the podium, so that did get changed. But anyway, I just think that the public needs to be made aware of what council's looking at. So, okay. And if you have any questions, other than that, I really don't have. I've been on vacation for 2 weeks. We went to see my daughter in Texas, helped her out a lot. She's putting her house back together after a year problem. So anyway, it was a working vacation. And we went during the eclipse, so we could see the eclipse, but it was a cloudy day.
Oh.
We got 5 little peaks of it, and it did get dark even though it was cloudy. So, all
Okay, thanks.
right, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Is there any further questions or anything from Rita? Okay, communication subcommittee.
Yes, Rick and I have been in touch with Chris Hargeth, at the head of communications for the city, and he and Madeline are on his staff are putting together a communications plan. We had thought that it might be done at this point, but they had more questions for us. And rather than have Rick and I answer these questions, I put them together, or I printed out the questions that he had, and I thought it would be a good thing to have a discussion of them here and get your input to the answer of these questions, because they're actually, they're a critical part of they're the meat of a communications plan. They're the messaging of the communications plan.
You were copied on this.
No, I've been trying to have that go directly with you. I didn't.
So the first thing that they want is to look at the seasonal reminders. And what are the messages in the seasonal reminders? And I interpret this, and Rick interpreted it a little differently as to which spring, summer, fall, winter, or year-round reminders we would do. We're thinking all of them would be included in the communications plan, all of the seasonal reminders. But what are the actual messages, the bullets, under each one of those? And maybe we need to augment them, to expand them. And so I'd like to take a look at that. The first thing is when we look at spring, yard maintenance, encourage residents to mow lawns, trim bushes, remove debris, to maintain tidy properties. Property inspections, remind residents to check for any winter damage to roofs, fences, and other structures. Now, I don't know if those are the key messages that we ought to be including. What other key messages would you like to have involved or have a part of the plan for spring? And then we go down summer and fall. And I don't need to read it to you because you can read. Winter, year round. See what you think. You know, what should we add? Should we not do some of these messages?
A question, Edie. So are these meant to be aligned with code or more recommendations or both?
Well, they are part, yeah, they are part of code. They're like the friendly
Yeah.
reminders of code to reach out to citizens, the residents of Englewood.
I think as they put their media program together, what they're looking at for us is, what are the emphases? What do you want to do in the spring? And rather than take it from here are the things that you could be, cited for, these are the things that you should be doing. It's more, we've tried to make more of a positive message rather than a, punitive kind of approach to it. So that's what we're going for. So we're looking for anything else that maybe the committee would want to add in any of those seasons that you get, oh yeah, you ought to probably do this too, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's where I think about like right now is when do I turn my irrigation system on? And I know that's, more of a suggestion, but I think a friendly reminder, a suggestion,
Irrigation.
is it Mother's Day or what's the kind of date you're aiming for there that aligns with?
Well, and in association with that, if you do have breaks in your irrigation system, the chance of possibly water runoff to other property and possible damage kinds of issues.
Yeah, right. Good point.
Okay.
So for Dave, do we deal with noise ordinance?
Yes, we do deal with noise. It's a very complex way of enforcing it. So yes, there are noise restrictions, and I would do that from the standpoint of like lawn maintenance. When are you gonna start doing your lawn maintenance? It's not gonna be at 5 in the morning. Trash pickup, trash hauling, like if you're gonna haul away your own trash, or let's say you're gonna do any kind of repairs to your house or work out in your garage, or these are some of the concerns that we receive. We'll receive concerns from a neighbor that someone is in their garage every night till 11 o'clock banging away and causing noise problems. So some of those we enforce, some of them it does fall to the police department, but we can always find some kind of gentle reminder that if you're gonna have outside events, please try to keep them below certain time frames and certain decibels and don't have amplified music, neighborly things that some folks don't remember to be neighborly about. Invite your neighbor to come to your party and make sure they bring the wine is a nice one. No, those are the kind of things that I think are more important. Is I think some people forget what it's like to be neighborly. And code is set up so that if people aren't neighborly, then the city sometimes needs to step in.
Don't remember seeing anything like on your graphs and charts about,
We have one section on noise.
was it?
But I would say
I don't
most noise complaints are like loud music and stuff like that really do fall to the police department. They don't follow code enforcement. Ours are more, we have a store on South Broadway and we have a residential property, and the store on South Broadway, who's been there for 60 years, is causing a ruckus during the day when their baby's trying to sleep. So those are the kind of things that we're having to collaborate, mediate between the neighbor and the business.
So what about developers in the area, like building houses and keeping areas clean of debris and different things like that? Does that fall under code enforcement?
It really falls to the building department.
Okay.
They do have inspectors that deal with specifically the building, how it's kept. If there's a noise complaint, like we'll occasionally get notice that somebody has started working on a house at 6 in the morning when it's supposed to be 7. They can show up at before 7 in the morning. They just can't be using the jackhammers and hammers and backhoes before 7. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Are there any restrictions on taking down holiday decorations?
We have 0 restrictions, and I would caution this group because Englewood isn't a homeowners association, so we would get into First Amendment concerns.
I just wondered if there was anything.
Expression. And on that note, before I leave, I do want to let you know that we did have a case that's been closed that is been concerning, where a family likes to recycle some of their stuff. One thing, they're artistic. They utilized an old toilet and turned it into
Utilize the what?
an old toilet and turned it into And so this is where it gets a little strange because code says you can't have a toilet outside with outdoor storage, but they've now turned it into a cart piece. So we do run into those concerns. We've received complaints regarding flags and the messaging on flags. That is something that we can't regulate, the messaging on flags, just so that everyone here is aware. Because again, we're not a homeowners association that limits that kind of stuff. We have to fall back to the Constitution and, people are allowed to have freedom of expression, even if the messaging is not very happy.
A question or a caution under fall where the wording says remind residents to properly store outdoor items to avoid clutter. It seems to me without a clear code, that's a very hard thing to enforce.
There is a code specifically related to outdoor storage, and it defines what is outdoor storage. So like junk, accumulation of items, tree debris, inside furniture utilized outside. So you can't have a couch from inside on your front.
Okay, but what about plastic jungle gyms, playground toys, which?
Those are exempt by code.
There is a code that addresses that? Because
Children's toys, play equipment,
okay,
outdoor furniture, those things are exempt
so there is a definition for properly storing.
for outdoor
Okay,
storage.
great. Good.
Great.
And my guess is that, my guess is.
No, I have one. I can stay just 2 more minutes.
Okay.
That these seasonal reminders, that they'll be coming from the committee.
From you all.
Right.
It's gonna be a partnership between you as citizens and code enforcement. So if you put something out, code enforcement will verify that it's factual and meets code, and we'll work with you on those writing. But this last piece was very positive, and I think continuing in that direction, like you guys have agreed, and not harping on like the code, like nailing it like we have in the past, like don't do this. You're really trying to take it into a more positive light.
And do you have suggestions for any of these seasonal reminders? Because there's certain things that tend to be problematic during different seasons, right?
And it's also secular, like, it depends on what's happening in that season. Snow is unique. Like this year has been very unique enforcing for the last year. Weeds. We also see usually around tax season, about this time of year when people start getting refunds, we start seeing additional accumulation of trash, electronics and things dumped in alleyways, illegal dumpings. So we'll see that here in the next month and a half, but I'm not sure if that's something that we can seasonally remind people. Maybe we can talk about disposing of like proper disposal of electronics and not putting things in your alleyway to accumulate. Those kinds of things I think might be helpful.
And I don't know if the city had anything to do with this, but Waste Management will now pick up hazardous materials at your door for a fee. And that hopefully will help us with those types of things, because it's not an exorbitant fee.
No, they've been very reasonable, and the city did have a voice in that. It's not, Waste Management provides services not just to Inglewood, but to Littleton, to parts of Sheridan. They even have subcontracted with parts of Denver to do some of their stuff. Some of the other smaller communities. So having a voice at the table and saying this is what our communities need, they took that to heart.
And I really like that, because then you don't have to wait till September to get rid of your stuff.
The once a year thing, yes.
What is does Englewood sponsor,
We usually do that.
which is, I think, very, very nice to have for citizens to, particularly electronics and stuff like that.
Electronics, paint, we do medication buybacks.
That's terrific.
And we do a lot of cooperation, and usually it's 1 or 2 times a year. I would like to see it expanded. Again, that's something that this group can recommend, that maybe the city ask private company to look at that, but this is one step towards providing an additional service to the citizens of Englewood.
Should we be putting that in the Englewood magazine?
That might be, this gets complicated because we would prefer for waste management to advertise. I don't want to, we have to be careful as a public entity without having a sponsorship of recommending or having the appearance of recommending one business over another.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because even in here, it could be useful to know that that's something that exists.
And we can change our website. So we can put on the website, it's not recommending because we list all of the service providers. We can list under waste management additional services they provide.
Maybe we should get Waste Management to buy a half-page ad.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Great idea.
We ought to, and that would be the message that they would say they'd offer additional services.
That's something that I cannot negotiate. That's something communications can. You can talk to them. Maybe they'll sponsor.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll give like a coupon to like for your first one, it's free.
I think that's great.
Things like that.
Okay.
I'm not in that sales realm. I prefer not to be. Thank you all for understanding tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
So do other companies do it, or is it just Waste Management? And then if it's just Waste Management, do you have to be a Waste Management customer?
I don't know, we're a Waste Management customer, and that's probably why we got the
Yeah.
ad.
I think it's for all the Englewood citizens. 'Cause
Oh,
I read
Yeah.
it somewhere.
Okay,
No, Dave just said it was just for, he just nodded his head when I asked that question. It's for Waste Management customers.
So the second section of this, just to keep moving with this, is that it's the why should citizens care? And this is kind of our sort of positive spin on all this stuff. It's our effort to try and help people to understand that what the code enforcement does is help us to have a higher quality of life in the city. It's a nicer place to walk. It's a safer place to be. It's a quieter place to be, whatever it is. And so these were like the 5 bullet points that they came up with. And I think we had that discussion with them in our meeting of some of the things we'd like to include in that. So if there's any enhancement to that or additions to that we can kind of put in there, that'd be great too. That's on the back.
If you want to take some more time, I mean, we
Right.
don't, and you can get back to me same time about, well, I don't know what timetable it we were, same time.
I think so, yeah.
Where is this posted?
It's not posted anywhere, it's just for you to look at.
This is their proposals. This is what
And
Chris.
then this
Chris
will
and
be
his
part
team
of
came up
the
with.
communications.
Where would it be?
This would be kind of a framework for everything that goes out. If that makes sense. In other words, we're trying to come up with some sort of standards that we integrate within any of the messaging that we do.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
messaging.
Yeah, it's
I
a
get it.
messaging sort of framework.
I get it.
What do we want to say in our communications? If we're doing communications through a variety of different vehicles, whether it be social media or,
This will
Englewood
help.
magazine, whatever.
This will help because they're putting together even a large picture of what this looks like. How are we going to put it in the magazine? How are we going to put it in the bills? How are we going to state this on social media? What kinds of things do we want to put out as a seasonal thing, which is really great. This is a partnership with them, which will do great things for this group, for the committee as well as code enforcement. So we're trying to give them the right direction to go with this.
And they will integrate this into the plan, and we will bring back the plan to the committee.
I think this is great, and I think they probably appreciate what you two have done. By giving them some direction and some consistency, I think that's an achievement. So thank you for doing this because.
Well, they
I like
are very skilled.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very skilled department, believe
Sure.
me. Excellent writing staff, but very knowledgeable about communications. And this is not new to them because they have done pieces on code enforcement over the years. So in many cases, you can go back and pull from the resources that they already have, not reinventing the wheel. But that's what advertising, that's what education is. It's repetition. It's repetition.
So Edie, with the 26th, if we kind of target
Yeah.
that deadline,
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah,
Okay.
just to get back to me and, you
Yeah.
get back to me and I'll organize that and Rick and I'll meet that
Can
next
I
week.
add one thing?
Yeah.
So we're under summer for weed control. Advise residents to control weed growth in yards, comma, alleyways.
Okay.
And sidewalks. Just because the alleyways is such,
Okay,
I don't want to say divisive, but such a
Well,
concern.
and I think alleyways too, citizens, maybe a lot of them don't realize that they're responsible from their back fence to the middle of the alley.
And that's a key point, and maybe that should be reiterated in here as well, because that's relevant. And I didn't know that until it was explained to me that, oh, I'm responsible for this area. I thought, oh, that's the city's or that's somebody else's. So that's not a bad thing to repeat.
Maybe that's something we add in the
Yeah,
do's and don'ts that goes in there. Because, I mean, these are just seasonal reminders.
sure.
I don't know that defining pieces is right for that. But in the do's and don'ts, that might be something to add.
Sort of like, by the way.
But yeah, do,
I don't know if it works here, but
well, I'm just spitballing. I mean, maybe not.
I'm sure it can work in that.
I can barely read what's there, so.
It
And I've
says
got
branches and yard clippings don't allow them to accumulate in alleyways as they may impede vehicle passage or hinder damage. There's nothing
could
that
say-
says you're
You
responsible.
could say, and remember, you're responsible for the alleyway or whatever, the halfway up the alleyway from behind your house. Something like that, how,
I think this is one of the vehicles that we're gonna be using, so, that's the kind of thing that we could maybe drill down into on a notice or a blurb in one of the bills or something, or on the social media sites.
Yeah,
I think that, like we said, this becomes sort of the big picture overlay. And from there, we can drill down on everything we want as we go season to season with this. And our goal and our hope is that they stay in communication with us and that we bring this back so that we are one step ahead of the next thing that's going out in whatever.
I think we're also responsible from the sidewalk to the street in the yard.
Are we?
Yeah, as far as I know.
yeah, he's saying.
I know in Denver you are.
AJ's nodding yes.
Huh?
AJ's nodding yes.
You are, okay. I know in Denver, and you'll see it going down the streets, people get pretty creative with that little strip of property between the sidewalk and the street. Planting, all kinds of stuff.
There are some things that are illegal to plant in that, even though, like cactus is one of them, correct?
Hopefully somebody's not doing that.
I think people do things like that,
Yeah.
because they don't want people
Yeah,
walking in
That
there.
could be.
And they don't want dogs walking
Yeah,
in
right.
their yard.
Right.
And also, just one thing to keep in mind with this plan, it goes into the larger communication plan. So the little notes under the different seasons is stuff that communication holds in their back pocket. So if we get a big snowstorm if you follow Inglewood on Facebook or any of those, at the end of the week, a lot of weeks they'll do like a weekend summary of what's happened in the city. And part of that is that they have an open space and we just got a big storm. That's where they can pull from your recommendations instead of having to reach out and go, okay, hey, we just had a big storm, let's grab the snow portion of it and tag it in and go, hey, remember, the city survived the storm, but remember you can take your sidewalks off after 24 hours of the storm being or something like that. So it gives them the power also to have extra communication topics that they can go ahead and just push out as well by season or anything else.
Yeah, actually speaking about that, since that's something they might do if there's a big like snowstorm, like a good example. Do we want to add something in there about snow buddies? Snow buddies? Snow, those, what do they call us?
Snow
buddies,
Snow
yeah.
buddies.
Yeah.
God, everybody's
You're
looking at me
right.
like I'm crazy.
No, I was just thinking that you're absolutely right.
I think it's a great idea.
That's a great bullet.
Am I saying bunnies? I mean, I don't, I'm
Just keep talking. Dan.
I know.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect one for fall, winter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, if they pull from this, I mean, we might as well add that in there, at least with the phone number or something.
Well, and Madeline runs that, so.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, no, just throw that in there at the end of the sentence. So I'll be quiet.
No, you did very well. Talking.
We're following. We're following.
I don't think so.
Are there other like event-driven types of guidance that make sense to, instead of filing it under, seasonal, more like current event type, like storm? But I can't think of any other ones.
Do they do that? Do they, I mean, like,
No.
we were saying they might put something out for snow. I mean, is that just, if there's a big snowstorm, is that just occasionally they might? I mean, do they have does the social media group, do they automatically put stuff out when a snowstorm happens? Or a big storm, or?
Not normally.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
They may put updates on like snow plowing or something like that.
So nothing consistent,
But-
no consistent messaging?
That's very situational, what they push out.
Okay.
Remember, a few years ago after a big storm, it was a branch drop off at Centennial Park.
God, I love that. That was so much fun. I mean, I drove my truck in there and you couldn't even see my truck. I walk around like about 3 feet and my truck's gone because there's just branches just piled so high. Oh, that was funny. I mean, sad for people, but funny.
Yeah, in a weird way.
Yeah,
Mulch.
yeah.
So on the snow removal, do they have 24 hours to remove the snow after the snowfall, after it stops snowing?
Yes.
Oh, put a nudge in for that.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah, just a reminder.
Yeah, I think we can polish this with some of the more specific stuff, so that, like you said, they have a direction to go with this. We don't want them to have to keep coming back to us about, so how many hours is it? So how high is that grass allowed? You'd be more specific within here.
Right, like with weeds, do we say like less than 6
Right.
Yeah.
or whatever?
Yeah.
And another topic just up here through that season is garage sale season. We do have specific ordinances around garage sales, if that's something we'll include for spring, summer, maybe something else.
Is there a big specific?
What do you want to say about garage sales?
So the complaints we get most of the time are signs. Signs have to have address, date, and time. They're allowed to be put out the Friday before, and have to be picked up by the Sunday after, so a 3-day period. And they cannot be attached to they have to be self-standing. So it can't be attached to any traffic pole, light pole, anything else like that.
Interesting.
I've never seen a self-standing.
Not either.
Everyone's been on a light pole.
Isn't there a rule like you can only have so many sales a year as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, you're allowed 2 sales a year, no longer than 3 days a piece.
How would you track that?
Your
Basically,
neighbors.
we do.
Neighbors.
Do you really?
There's this one lady on Dartmouth that has them all the time. So,
Yeah, we had a property that was doing it more like a flea market sale, and we were able to track that over 3 or 4 weekends and then
Wow.
ended that.
This isn't on exactly the same, well, it's not on the topic, but I was just curious for people that have Airbnbs, do they have to get a license?
Short-term rentals are required, and that's all done through community development.
It is, okay, and it is required. They pay tax on the income to the city?
Yeah, I believe so. What it is, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know how much it is, but
I just wondered. Okay.
Well, if you have anything else, send it to us. And
Yeah, send it to us by the 26th, 27th. And we'll work on this and
Would it help to receive this in a usable document format so that you could edit and add and bullet point, things like that?
Yeah,
Do you want to shoot this information over to AJ and AJ can send it out then? Just forward it on to AJ. And
is there are there extra copies up there?
No, he's
Just
out,
electronically.
he wants the electronic copy sent to everybody, so that we could add our own stuff in there.
Add it.
Just,
Okay.
which actually might be confusing to them. Because if you send something, not he said something, I'm not gonna say anything, but if somebody else said something, and they all tag the same area, how do you just,
Well, we just probably print everything out and look over people's suggestions. And, so if your suggestion is like your suggestion, we'll come like them.
but if I just add on to the end of a sentence,
Just do it in bold or something that differentiates it a little bit. You can, if you're creative and you want to put it in color, you can do it. You can actually edit it in a Word doc if you want to and use the Word doc editing function, but that's a little beyond my
well,
capability.
no, I get it. Yeah, I'm just worried, I was just worried about you guys tracking changes if you got 4.
Well, if we were able to print them out and just look at them and go, this person did this person did that.
Okay.
That way we kind of consolidate it, but that we can see.
Once you get it all done, they could forward it to you and it could be put on the next agenda, right, or are we trying to get this done before the next meeting?
I think they
Well-
wanted it as that.
We will get this then back to Chris,
Okay,
and then, and I think it won't take them long to put the communications plan together.
okay.
What we'd like to do is have the communication plan. If we get it, shoot it over to AJ. AJ can put it on the agenda for next time.
Yeah, let's get the finalized copy into the agenda for our next meeting. And everybody remember, don't do a reply all, just send to Edie, a reply back just to Edie. Then Edie will reply back to you. Because, yeah, you'll get shot for stuff.
Got it.
Okay, here it
Big
is.
trouble.
Yeah.
I can send you one.
The police will show up, sign it.
I don't think so.
Open meeting rules are
Okay, we all go
a big
through
deal.
this.
I hear gunshots some nights and I wonder, where's the police car? So you never hear them after that. There's.
Maybe
also-
they were doing the shoots.
No, you would have heard them coming in there.
Oh, right.
Well, maybe not.
You just got
You
it.
just got it. Right?
That's it.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Wow, this is quite the movement in the communication subcommittee. It really is.
Yeah.
All right, unfinished business. We already reviewed the new notices. Is there anything there, anything other there? Anything there we would like to discuss that we didn't earlier? Dave's not here, but I think we kind of wrapped that one up. So next is new business. Does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss or talk about for new business? Okay, committee we didn't have anything listed, so. Committee members' choice, does anybody have anything they'd like to discuss or talk about? Preferably around code enforcement.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have one.
oh,
Can we,
I already said no.
looking lively over there. Regarding our other Mike, I'd asked last time whether did you get the chance to reach out to him and find out what the status was, and if he was going to be able to make meetings?
I did talk with him 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, and he was still trying to finalize his work schedule, but that's all.
So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, because I think we were talking about it beforehand, and the time frame for the new applications is coming up in interviews, so in the next 3 months, so 2 months, 3 months, so we'll see if he can get everything resolved before then.
One thing that we learned on sustainability is really nice to have alternatives so that you can move quickly. So if somebody has a new job or a situation where they can't attend, you don't have to go back to square zero, and the alternative members can show up for all the meetings and get up to speed. So that's just good practice if
Well,
you can pull it off.
We have them, but they don't show up.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's not, it's, okay, but to be fair, I don't think they're not necessarily required to show up.
Right, right.
So, but we have had alt members, and we have a current opening for a alt member,
Okay.
and we have an alt member who hasn't been able to join yet, but should be here next
Next month.
month.
Okay.
So,
You're on top of it.
well, I'm not on top of it. I'm just reiterating how poorly we are. So, but yeah, no, I mean, that's how I started. I was an alt member when I started. So,
Yeah, we do have one alternate member.
all those years ago.
Not sure who's gonna be here this meeting, but maybe next month. Then she can be sworn in, and then the board is fully staffed, so there is no current open.
Oh, I thought we had 2 alt members, only 1, okay.
And then there is
There you go.
still the 3
We have 2
reappointments
too.
as well.
And then the reappointments as well, okay.
Speaking of reappointments, I would like to formally request a recommendation letter from the chair, if he would be willing to write one for myself, and I don't know
Me
about the
too.
other 2 reappointed persons.
Ditto.
Me too.
We
I just turned my application in today, so. I need-
For reappointment?
Yeah.
Oh, so these are the 3.
You're looking at. By the way, it's a good chunk of your committee.
You might want to write a letter up.
You might want to be nice.
Are you feeling the intimidation?
No, I am open to bribes.
Bob, I'll reach out to you individually, I just thought I'd mention that.
No, that's fine. I will be happy to. I will be happy to.
I think.
It can
it's
be
a
short and
good
sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's a
But it doesn't have to be sweet. It can
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
be short.
Just
All right.
quick email.
Topics for future meetings.
Well-
So I eventually, I mean, I don't think we have to do it the next meeting, but within the next couple meetings, we should probably start, I don't want to say at the top, but we should start looking at the code where we want to start reviewing the existing code and see if we can notice anything that's missing there. So not the next meeting, but probably the meeting after that, we'll probably do that. Because, we can't get this Mike Chisholm guy to ever show
Right.
up. He just never shows up.
Never sits in the right place either.
So, yeah, so we'll do that. Oh, I can't drink this anymore, it's gonna kill me.
A suggestion, maybe AJ could help us, like where to start. I mean, if you look at the codes, maybe staff could even give us some direction of, we wish you would start here, or you would consider this, because from my point of view, I'd be throwing darts at the, like, where do I begin?
I'd start at the top, that would where I would start.
would you? Okay.
I'm just saying, I don't know where to start.
But I mean, they live with it. I don't know if they have reoccurring
No, and that's-
questions or
that's-
frustrations.
That's a
you
good
know.
point.
So
it's all on your
somebody would
shoulders.
look at that or ask us a few questions about that.
And
Yeah.
another thing too, I mean, this is just an idea, and we haven't had anybody really come for public comment, but sometimes when people come with public comment, that might be one place to look too.
Oh, that's a good point.
You mean the topics that they're bringing?
Yeah. Yeah, because actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to diatribe a bit here. So with the, when we had the issue with the dead tree and the fence on the 2 properties, I mean, that just sticks in my head for some reason. Was there something in there we could look at it around it? Because there was so much ambiguity around that at the time. I don't think we ever.
I looked into it. I bugged staff about it,
Mhm.
and I don't think there was much ambiguity. I think the citizen might have had ambiguous interpretations, but my impression in talking to staff was it was pretty black and white. There wasn't a gray zone in there, but
Okay.
I mean, AJ or staff can chime in, but I was comfortable with it.
Were you?
that
Okay.
It was,
I
that
know,
was offline not in the meeting that I.
Yeah, I don't remember looking at the code
Yeah.
for that. I mean, it was last year.
Can I ask, Rita, if we start this process, and I think that, you know, Dave will be the first to say, no pun intended, but we'll really get into the weeds, okay, on this. But is this, it was intended, I'm sorry. If we actually came up with some sort of recommendations, observations, is that something that would go back to council? How would you engage that?
Well, and I don't know, and AJ, you may be able to help me with this, but if you came up with something that you thought maybe needed to be addressed, we might send notice to council, AJ would send it to me. Does council want you to look at this? I mean, if you had some ideas, I mean, just looking, I mean, probably it would be great for everybody to read through the code that we're responsible for and just see what we're responsible for. And there may be something that just jumps out at you. I think in the past when, and maybe there were things going on at the time too. And this probably was 6 or 7 years ago. We looked at dangerous dogs forever. And, but there were things that came up that were going on in the city. So
I don't think it was that long.
when I first got on city council, the only thing we talked about was chickens. And before I got on, this committee was ad hoc, and the only thing they really talked about was potbelly pigs. So this committee has come a long way since.
We talked about dogs a couple of years ago. We talked about leash colors and that kind of stuff.
Can you have chickens? I can't remember.
You can. There are people that do.
Chickens, no roosters.
Really?
Yeah, and I think there's a limit.
I have a rooster.
What?
I have a
There's a
rooster.
limit of how many you can have. in
You
a
can have
rooster.
roosters, it's a noise ordinance.
Yeah, I have a rooster behind me. I don't mind it. I don't, no, it doesn't bother. He like goes off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so I don't.
As long as it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
not 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, it is. It's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's the only time it goes off. So.
It's charming.
Yes. It's cute.
It's cute, yeah.
Since we do have a new member, I guess I can go over. So Title VII is our animal control code, and that was revamped not too long ago in reference to off-leash, the parks, dangerous dogs, impound hearings. That's all been recently redone. Title 15 holds grass and weeds, the trees, hard bits and pieces of that have been redone. But for example, if this committee wants to make a recommendation, I know it's been brought up in the past, say you want to change the height of weed requirements from 6 inches to a foot. Basically what would happen at that point is you would make that recommendation for the entire code, not just one piece. Look at the code, grass and weeds. Here's our recommendations, what we want to change. I would send that to the city attorney's office. They would draft a new ordinance with that. We bring it back here. If the intent was there, they would finalize it, and then at that point, I would send it forward to council and city manager for their review of it. So that's sort of the process of the recommendations, and the city attorney actually writes it. With the legal jargon, you guys review it, and then if it's all approved, it goes to a final writing version, and then off to council for their.
Right, and actually, that's important too. I mean, you would have suggestions of what you want, but I don't know, a few years ago, one of the committees was trying to write code, and that's not the committee's responsibility. That's the city attorney's responsibility.
And that's the process where we have recommendations for a code, it gets sent to city attorney, so they can review it, make sure it's legal, it binds everything instead of sending it right to council for them to look at, just to make sure that council's not wasting their time, and they have a final document that's been vetted, approved as a recommendation from the committee to change, and then they have the ultimate decision of, yeah, we like this, or, oh, sorry, try again.
And the truth is, if Dave or you have suggestions too, that is a place to start also.
I have a question. Dave has indicated that he doesn't have any money in his budget, but I think we ought to be doing, I know they give out at different events. Every department gives little tchotchkes. little things about what they do. And for code enforcement, it's mostly animal control that he talks about or has. But I would like to have things that talk about angle fix, so that we're getting that message out and in the hands of people where they, put it in your phone, or the magnet on the refrigerator. I'd like to see if I don't know if how can we get any money
So
to
does
do any of that?
does the PD have a budget for things like that? That could go to code enforcement?
So that all goes through the police community relations office. All the animal control stuff that we got before, like the doggy bags and all that actually came from the Parks Department. That wasn't from us. Specifically Angle Fix, there are flyers, there are things already out there. Since that's a citywide program and not just code specific, that would be something that you could talk to Chris about to see what the city has available for handouts of that for Angle Fix specifically, because that's managed by communications. That's not a code program.
Oh, it
but-
isn't?
No, that's used for any type of reporting from community development to building,
Okay.
to streets requests,
All right,
signs
I'll ask.
requests.
Yeah.
So that's all managed under Chris, so they do have stuff already out. On what they have, I don't know. But that would be definitely their ability to get something out or get those for community events, especially for neighborhood nights coming up. The block
Right.
party trailer, maybe that's a recommendation for
Yeah.
Chris and even on the block party trailer, to do a QR code for something brand new fix.
Yeah,
Because that goes through the neighborhood or something like that. So
I agree.
that's a great idea, but I think that should be going through communications as well.
Okay,
But yeah, all the PD budget all goes through community relations and they pick out all the swag for the year.
yeah, that's what they call it.
Yeah, that's
Call
not,
it
that's not
Johnson.
our budget.
Years ago.
Yeah, I like the night out block party idea. I mean, that, kind of, hopefully they think of that. Communication, that would be a great time to help get that message out.
I think that the police department comes around to the neighborhood ones, and I've had them,
Oh,
they'll just
they're
stop by
all
and
over.
see, if you're having a big block party, they'll come by.
They do the block parties and the night out.
Right.
There's always a representative there. They even have a tent up at the night out.
Mhm.
And you at least get one officer at the block party. Either that or we were maybe out of hand. Maybe that's why they showed up. I'm not sure which, but I know there was one there.
We didn't have one at ours.
Okay, never mind that, never mind that.
Less risk.
So moving on to topics for future meetings. For the next meeting, since we have a new member and a new alt member who will probably be here, can we line up that overview package that Dave did about a year ago? And then schedule that for the next meeting so that it's very informative and it goes over not just our stuff, but it also does go, or not just what we do as the committee, but it goes over like a high level view of some of the codes involved and stuff like that. So it's great for new members. I thought it was really, really good.
It's
when I
fun.
did it.
Okay.
It was fun.
Is this a violation?
Informative.
It's a
So,
game.
but it was good. So yeah, it's
That'd be
great. Yeah. So if we could plan on that for the next meeting, and we'll do that. And then we'll talk about next meeting, we'll talk about looking at which codes to start reviewing after the next meeting after that, probably. How can we go wrong with the grass and shrubs and weeds stuff? But okay, so if we can get that in, and then the next meeting is?
8:15.
Oh, it is there. Oh, your pen. Right underneath where I was right. Okay, so next meeting is May 15th, 6 PM. I heard that the AV equipment was fixed at the police station. Are we here?
I think we're here, because their goal was to eventually get all the committees back to City Hall.
Was it? Okay. All right, I guess we're here.
Yeah, if this board wants to reach out to city manager, city council, if you have something different in mind, that's up to you, but I was directed that way and I'm only here.
Okay, no, there you go. Okay, I just didn't know since the equipment was fixed. I mean, I know everybody liked bringing their sweaters there, but,
Carpets.
so,
And this room will get very, very hot as the summer goes on, so.
yeah. Okay, so with that, unless there's any other questions, concerns, or issues, let's go ahead and adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice. Oh, thank you. Is that yours? That's you, that's yours.